The final drop weeks are in, and the race for the championship comes into clarity. Will Valenteus dominate the GTP class again this race and claim his championship? And if he slips up, will Dustin Heroder take advantage and claim a surprise victory? And who will finish ahead of whom in the race between Joram van Hixie and Mickey Friesen to claim the GTO championship? It's all to play for as we get ready to watch the final of the iRacing IMSA Vintage series, and you're watching it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Adam Lindgren, and with me in the booth today is Sebastian Holmichael. In the truck today are our directors Daniel Costello and Christian Deploy, and they're using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Donington Park is the setting of the IMSA Vintage's magnum opus today, and to find out why that may raise eyebrows, let's take you down to our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Donington Park. This British track can boast the rare feat of hosting Grand Prix racing since before the advent of the modern F1 Championship. About a half hour northeast of Birmingham, cars and bikes of many types have competed here. There are two layouts that can be driven: the Grand Prix version, which is roughly 2.5 miles, or the National Circuit, which is just under 2 miles. The only difference between them is the addition of the Melbourne and Goddard's hairpins at the end of the lap. This circuit is known for its fast, sweeping bends and difficulty in overtaking. There's also some extremely tricky blind apexes like at McLean's and Coppice. Ironically, one of the most famous and more difficult high-speed turns is called the Old Hairpin. Resembling nothing of its name, it includes a frustrating kinked entry and a very critical corner exit that leads to a long piece of uphill acceleration. The first turn of Redgate is a popular place for overtakes, but it carries an unusual danger. The pit exit empties right into the racing line, and if stops are expected during the race, it can prompt some treacherous exchanges. While the circuit is most well known for its extremely wet 1993 European Grand Prix, where Ayrton Senna blitzed the field for a win, currently the track is mainly used for lower-level open-wheelers and touring car racing. Overwhelmingly popular with British fans, Donington Park has established itself as a pivotal circuit in the UK racing scene.
Well, Sebastian, it's round 13 here at Donington for the IMSA Vintage cars. We just saw what it looks like around here for many of the other classes, but what about these cars? What about the GTPs and the GTOs today?
Yeah, it will be trouble here in the 12 turns of Donington. 2.5 miles basically, or 4 kilometers for the metric system. We all know the track, but the special thing about the GTPs and GTOs here is they have to be working together. There will be just one line down the hill, and the elevation, of course, will be tricky for everyone on the throttle with these corners, with different configurations, and it will be a mess, maybe, but of course, there will be glory in the end for one of the championship winners.
Absolutely, and speaking of the championship, it's very tight in both classes, but Andres Valenteus still has a 7-point lead over Dustin Heroder after the 3 drop weeks in this 13-week season have come in. That means Javier Del Olmo is out of the picture, but he's still in a battle with Seamus Power and Aitor Sintes Galindo to come home with that 3rd spot, and given Javier's lack of consistency this season, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he might not hang on to that 3rd spot. Jacob Reed's not too far behind either, actually tied with Sintes Galindo for that 5th position. And then Fabian Jungbluth, Farron Grau, Brendan Lim are all battling it out for the 7th spot with Matthew Cockram in a distant 10th. But what about the GTO Championship, Sebastian? It's all to play for there.
Oh, it's so tight between P1 and P2. Joram van Hicks and Mickey Friesen, just 2 points separated. And this will be the decider tonight, to be patient, to have your view in the mirror, but still battling with your competitors in the GTO class. Of course, also the spot for P3, Noel Lundberg against Andreas Schuster here tonight will be a close call in the end. Who will be on the podium step at the end of this season? And yeah, at a tricky number 13 race, 13 weeks, it's not so usual in iRacing. We still have many places back for the racers to capture now in this GTO class.
Absolutely. Speaking of that 13th week, it is round 13 of 13. The only time it's going to happen for another 2.5 years, so enjoy it while it lasts. 40 minutes out here today with open setup, so they can set up the car however they like or dislike today. No spare vehicle for them, and they got to drive through at 17 incidents and disqualification at 25. Hard to get there here at Donington today, but not the most challenging thing in the world. As we hop over to qualifying, currently Jack Wells on provisional pole position for the GTPs, with Raul Rocha's Garde and Even Platten rounding out the potential podium there. Andreas Schuster is the only GTO to finish a lap, with Kundelis just jumping in and taking over provisional pole position with 4.5 minutes left in qualifying.
And just hear the thunder here in this Thunder Valley of Donington Park. I just love to hear these vintage cars in the IMSA Vintage we have here. So great to have the audio, so great to have these cars on track in the sim.
Absolutely. As we see a couple of different drivers coming around the final corner, this is Andres Valenteus, currently the championship leader by 7 points as he crosses the line to start what I believe is his first lap. I'm going to take a look. And yes, this is his first flying lap. And Valenteus has been a master of speed. He's been able to outqualify his competitors by nearly a quarter of a second most races, and has been barely challenged at the front of the field. You can see just a little bit of understeer there through the bottom of the hill, but look at the speed he's carrying through this sector, and the biggest challenge is going to be these two right-handers here, Sebastian.
Yeah, ultra speed, and the downforce does him a favor, but maybe not here at the crest, but he gets it around, and that's key, of course, in this very competitive field.
Very competitive field here, coming up to the chicane, and high speeds through there, clipping the bollards just a little bit. No issues there, and then it's into the hard braking zone for the first of 2 hairpins. This is where the GTPs, we've seen many of them slip off with cold tires at the beginning of the race, so that's something to keep our eyes on. You can see the car squirming underneath Valenteus as he's going to come around the second of the hairpins. This one a little bit wider on exit, allows for a little bit more of speed carrying through the center of the corner. Just clipping the grass there, is going to cross the line and score a 1:13.7, and that is going to be apparently it didn't count, so he caught an off track somewhere on that lap. He's going to have to do it better again this time.
Maybe the chicane could be, but of course later on, you said it, the hairpins are tricky, and you can't count on that the GTOs will hold their line at every twist and turn around Donington. And now we have Joram van Hicks, currently in P2, now fighting for the pole position.
Absolutely. Mickey Friesen, his championship competitor, is behind him. Whoever finishes ahead of the other this race will take the championship unless they score points at about 12th or lower. We have more than 12 GTOs here today, so that's entirely possible. But these two tend to be front runners, and so it'll be interesting to see if Van Hicksey or Friesen, who is going to take home this championship. It's all going to be battling on track. It comes down to this race. They just have to battle it out on track, and whoever finishes ahead of who is the one who's going to win. And with 2 hairpins to end out the laps, a little bit of bump and run might not be out of the cards if we get to that.
And of course, he tries to nail it now again. Around the final hairpin, down on the throttle, over the line. It's slightly better, 1/1000th of a second.
1,000th, this is going to improve his starting position, though. Kundelis will be our provisional pole sitter. A good turnout here today. We have Emilio Decari joining us once again in the GTOs, starting off in the 14th position. And we have Kurt Hauer Jensen and Christopher Johansson, who both did not set their qualifying times. Ove Traeger is the only driver left on track and just practicing a little bit here. He's already completed his qualifying in the 8th position. 50 seconds to go. Everyone's finished their lap, Sebastian.
Yep. And now it's time to calm down a little bit again for the huge start. We have such a big grid, and also drivers from all over the world here in the IMSA Vintage final.
Absolutely. Sebastian, as you're getting ready to start this race, especially if you're in one of these championship fights, how do you keep yourself calm before the green flag when you know that this entire season, the longest season that is possible in iRacing, how do you keep yourself calm getting ready for this race?
I think the only way to keep calm is to, first of all, have a good qualifying position so that you're in the right mindset, but it looks like it between the championship competitors at the moment. And of course, don't think too much about the whole thing. Just think about this race, lap after lap and corner by corner, of course.
Absolutely. So we now enter into the race session with Andreas Valenteus taking pole position by a half of a second over Jack Wells in second position. Laust Olsen's going to line up behind the absolutely rapid Valenteus today, with even Platten lining up behind Wells. Javier Dalomo's going to start off in fifth. Good news for him in his championship fight. Raul Roches Gardier in sixth next to him. Noah Lundberg has joined us in the GTP today. He's hopped out of the GTO and jumped over to the GTP in seventh, with Dustin Roeder in eighth position. 8 positions behind Valenteus. Not a great position for him to start the race. Jorge Gonzaga is going to be in ninth, with Seamus Power in 10th position. Then it's going to be Brendan Lim in 11th on row 6, and Matthias Hovdahl next to him. Emerson Gaudin and Mateo Johnson on row 7. Row 8 goes to Matthew Cockram and Simon Wilkes, with Nigel Charman, Kelton Armstrong, Ben Summers, and John Davey rounding out the top 20. And there's some more GTPs to go, just 2 more. Dylan Freckleton and Carlos Fonseca round out your 22 GTPs. Hello to Carlos Fonseca joining us again.
And of course, Indy GTOs and Arturas Kondalis in pole position. Jerome Vanex in P2, Mikke Friesen in P3, and row 2 is rounded up by Josh Brain. Andreas Sliumba in P5, Timothy Reed in P6, Andreas Schuster in P7, Ove Trengrate in P8, Martin Krejcik in P9, and Torben Paulik in P10. In row 6, Pablo Rangel will start in P11, Ben Lochter in P12, Lucas Arroyo in P13, Emilio Di Chari in P14, Chris Etheridge in P15, Jamie Hamel-Smith in P16, Adam Barney starts from P17, Johnny Hofmann in P18, Sami Kuvonen in P19, and Brandon White in P20. So again, 10 rows of GTOs, followed up by the last row, Kurt Haue Jensen in P21 and Krista Johansson in the 22nd place. Sorry. So now we got it. So many names, so many places.
Yeah,
but that's good. We have a big grid.
22 drivers in both classes, leading to 44 drivers around Donington. 67 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius in the air, 27 Celsius on the track. The sun is out today. We have a quick wind as well, 13 kilometers per hour out of the west-southwest, and humidity at 38%, so it is wintertime, in fact, here. But the pace car's got to pull off and release Andreas Valenteus. It's a short run to the line, and Valenteus jumps early. Jack Wells did not get a good start. It's almost 3 wide as they come down to the first turn. It's a hard turn down the hill. Braking, they are 3 wide for the second position, but it does not work out for Even Platten, who goes off track. It's going to be side-by-side between Olsen and Wells as we go to the GTOs.
And big lead again in the opening stage, 2 wides in the back of the field, but the leader is clear. Several car lengths, 1 car is off in the gravel, but looks like a fine start down the hill.
It was Ove Trengrade who was off. Even Platten's gone from 5th position all the way out. He has gone to the pits for the GTOs, or the GTPs rather. But that battle in the GTOs between 2nd and 3rd, that's our battle for the championship between Mikke Friesen and Joran Van Hixie.
Yeah, and it's so crucial to have the track position, of course, with 2 points of separation. But yeah, Kondalis is not having anything about that. He wants to win a race here tonight.
Absolutely, and the 2 drivers behind him will not care about the win of the race today. All they care about is finishing ahead of one another. Kondalis, well and clear. We're looking at Javier Dalomo, who's made up a position since he started, up to 4th spot since Even Platten is out of this race now, and he's now trying to put some pressure there on Jack Wells, trying to get by. There's not that many places to pass around this track, Sebastian. How do you find your way by? As Van Hixie's going backward. One of our championship competitors has lost some positions going through the chicane. He's now down to 5th spot behind Josh Brain.
Yeah, either chicane or the hairpins did play a role there. And of course, this is now difficult because everyone else also wants to be on the podium. And yeah, Brain and Sliumba are did go by, and maybe no, we have now
Oh, replay. Even Platten just getting into the grass there and ends up crashing on the outside. A tough incident for him. That's definitely going to end his race. If you take a look at Van Hixie now, he's a second and a half behind Sliumba. That's essentially lost the draft. He's made it past Josh Brain again, but he's got a long way up the road to get up to Sliumba, who's behind Friesen, his championship rival.
And that was maybe the answer to the question you wanted to ask, because you need a slipstream to get into the position in the chicane. And another Nigel Charman.
He made some contact with Dylan Freckleton as they were going through the chicane side by side. Both of them able to get going forward again, though.
Yeah, but what a visual also at the start. But right here also we could see a glimpse of the GTO field. But now we are back racing with P6, Raul Roches Guardia. And if I look at lap times, just to get a glimpse of it, F1 back in the day in the 90s did around a 118 of a lap. And we are now driving with 113s here in the GTP class, so it's quite fast.
It is quite fast. Very close battles going on in 10th position for both classes right now. We're looking at Lucas Arroyo, who's trying to make his way forward, currently in the 12th position. And it looks like Emerson Gaudin has had a problem in the GTPs as they've been battling with Jorge Gonzaga for 10th. Let's take a look at a replay here. This is Jorn Van Hixie and how he lost his spots. I think he might have, he got a slowdown clipping going over the chicane there, just clipped it a little bit too much on the inside.
I mean, you can clip it there, and you can also go through these red posts there. But if you do it too much, of course, you get a slowdown, and that, cost him 2 positions and maybe the championship.
Jack Wells putting pressure on Laust Olsen. Laust having a good start. For the first time in a while, he's up to 2nd position and trying to hold on to that spot as Simon Wilkes goes around in the back of the GTP field. He's going to get back going again. Valenteus, yet again, it sets the fastest lap at a 1:14.6. So, as you mentioned, Sebastian, faster than the F1 cars around here of the same era.
Yes, that's right. We are doing vintage racing, so basically these are older cars, less driving assists, more down to the driver's let's say to the right foot, how he manages to make the traction work in the corners. So this is very impressive stuff, because of course all are great sim racers, but never had a chance to try that in real life, of course.
Close for the front of the GTO field now that Van Hixie is 2 positions behind. Mickey Friesen is free to try and challenge Arturs Kundels and put yet another car between the two of them in their championship battle. Friesen needs to finish ahead of Van Hixie to win the championship. If Van Hixie finishes ahead of Friesen, he wins the championship. So it's all about track position today.
Yes, and now is the question also, the little mind game. Does he try to get into the first spot? Or is Mickey Friesen just following the leader to be safe? But it looks like he's very much more racy and has very much more speed on the track than the post sitter.
Absolutely. I would most definitely be trying to pass Kundelis if I was Friesen, especially because Sliumba and Van Hixie have been gaining on the two of you ever since that breakup happened at the beginning of the race. So Friesen needs to get by Kundelis in order to continue to put a gap between himself and Van Hixie.
Ooh, slight touch. So Kundelis is now knowing he's there, and he's already knocking a little bit and gently.
The leaders of the GTPs are now alongside our GTO backmarkers, and so it's starting to create a little bit of compression here. Here is Jack Wells trying to go around the outside of Laust Olsen through the first hairpin. It looks like Chris Etheridge went off track as well, so that puts Wells offline, and he's now going to lose a position to Javier Del Olmo, who sneaks ahead. We're riding on board with Wells as he's trying to recover from that slide. Del Olmo misses the apex of the second chicane, a little bit of slide on the rear there. He's going to be susceptible to Wells if Wells tries to find a way around.
And now it's the time for the deep dive. And he gets it. He really gets it on the brakes, but now in the middle of the traffic. of the GTOs.
Absolutely, and look at this, that's Josh Brain that he has to fall in behind Jack Wells. Oh, and Hubbard Olmo has to dodge another GTO. It's tense stuff as they go down the hill. We've seen incidents oh my goodness, around the outside goes Jack Wells on Javier Del Olmo. He's gonna get the job done. What a move!
Yeah, again, what a move, you're right. And I never did know that there in the downhill section is a chicane, but it's a moving chicane created by the GTOs.
Yeah, great move there from Jack Wells. A very assertive move to try and get that position. Now in the third spot, tucked in behind Laust Olsen in second. They're now into the thick of the GTO traffic. This is 15th on forward as they're going by. It's going to seem like an endless stream of cars for them. Look at that! Del Olmo with the late dive up the inside takes the position away from Wells. These two going back to back.
Jack Wells was careful not to hit the GTO in the back or make him spin, but there is contact.
Contact there between Jack Wells and that GTO, so unfortunately he's going to start to fall backward. A little bit of left side damage for Jack Wells, so he's lost that time to Javier Del Olmo. He'll have to make it back up if he's still got the pace, but he's getting some heavy pressure from behind from Dustin Heroder and Raul Roches Guardia. Heroder trying to do his best to get back up the field.
Yeah, and I think also one GTO stopped at the pit exit line, but that's not important for the championship because Mickey Friesen is hunting down Condelis again, and he has also to check his mirror because Van Hicks is directly behind him again.
Absolutely, Van Hixie has made the pass on Andreas Sliumba. This was into the braking for the first hairpin last lap, so Van Hixie right tucked in behind Friesen. Friesen now, it's even more critical for him to try and find a way by. He might have to make a late move, but our leader, Valenteus, has just gone by Sliumba, so he's now in the mix with these leaders of the GTOs as well.
And you can look and feel how close this is. And yeah, how difficult, because there is another traffic situation coming up.
Absolutely, the GTP traffic is about to come through. Valenteus is 5 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, but then the rest of the field is compressed. The biggest gap from second on back to 15th is only 2 seconds, as you see. Here it comes. This is Schuster in 5th position, battling it out with Josh Brain, and they're continuing to feel the pain of these GTPs coming through.
Yeah, you want to make a safe line down the hill, but it isn't possible with the if you're side by side with the GTPs, and also the braking zone to T1 was very much crowded there.
Dustin Roeder sneaking up the inside of Sliumba. Sliumba's pushed offline, so he's now going to lose the draft to the top three in the GTOs. As you can see, it's very tense stuff. That is Javier Del Olmo sneaking up the inside, as well as Jack Wells and Dustin Heroder. This is actually going to be a problem for our championship battle of the GTOs. Mickey Friesen and Joran Van Hixie, as they're going to come up to the chicane, and everyone manages to make it clean, but that was tense stuff. I'm sure everyone was breathing a sigh of relief right now.
Yeah, especially also Dustin Heroder, who did go down there in the chicane and keeps the draft to the podium group in P5. But of course, I'm very, very happy that none of the GTOs got killed there.
Seamus Power looking up the outside there of Brendan Lim, and is now going to swap it over and make it the inside. What a move there. The over-under for Seamus Power to get by as they start streaking by our leaders in the GTOs again. Seamus Power is going to look up the actually, it was Brendan Lim looking at the inside of Seamus Power there as we start to go down the hill. And this is where you get into the lower reaches of the GTP field and the upper reaches of the GTO field. And it's going to be about who can figure out a way through. You can see Mickey Friesen blocking the apex there from Noel Lundberg, saying, nope, this is my line. I'm taking the apex. Don't come in here. Lundberg, a former GTO driver himself, backed off. And these three leaders still tucked in together as Lundberg goes off track, allowing Hobdahl to sneak by. And now, Joran Van Hixie and Mickey Friesen nearly side by side. The battle for the championship lead manifesting in front of our eyes in a battle for position on track.
Oh no!
Contact up ahead. This is going to force Van Hixie wide. And look at that. That was Kundelis who made contact. It's very tight as they come up together.
And it was the car which was off track, I think 1 or 2 corners beforehand. And then there was a spin and a contact to Condelis, and now it's up to Friesen to run for the money, make the dive, and the overtake.
And do you see the damage on the front of Arturas Kundelis. That's going to severely affect him on the high speeds. There's not much of that today, but that is major front end damage for Kundelis. In fact, it could be affecting his drive on the front right tire. Remember, these are four-wheel drive machines, not all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive machines. He has independent drive on all four corners, and if one of those corners gets affected, it can impact your balance of the car significantly.
I think you can also hear a little bit scratching of the floor with the damage.
Oh, it's tense stuff as actually Van Hixie loses a position to Sliumba by being forced wide by Dylan Freckleton as Freckleton was coming through, and there's a little bit of a moment there between Kundelis and Jorge Gonzaga. That actually puts Mickey Friesen right back on his rear bumper. This is what the traffic is all about, just trying to negotiate between yourself and the GTPs around you, trying to find them a way by without you losing time.
Yeah, no, and also not losing the championship, of course. I mean, some of the GTP drivers may know what is up here. And yeah, he waited the GTP behind the two leaders of the GTO and made his move right here.
Here we go, a move for Mickey Friesen. He's going to be well clear by the time they hit the chicane. And this is actually bad news for Van Hixie, who's now got two cars in between him and Friesen, his championship rival. Sliumba sees that Kundelis is weak and goes to the inside. Van Hixie's going to try and follow him through, but it's going to switch over from the inside to the outside for the next chicane. But let's see whether Kundelis backs off and lets Van Hixie go. The answer is no.
Nope, because he also did fight Mickey Friesen, and now he's fighting Joram also, of course, and that's a fair game. I like that. But now we have a 3 wide lining up for T1 maybe.
Absolutely. Matthew Cocker able to sneak through in the GTPs, and look at that, a little bit of an overcut from Van Hixie. He hit some of the he dropped his right rear tire off of that curb and bounced wide through turn 1. That means he's lost a little bit more time to Sliumba. So now the question is, can Friesen run away, or has he spent too much of his tires already? Valenteus, 6.5 seconds in front of the rest of the field. Laust Olsen, 1.5 seconds ahead of Javier Del Olmo, who still got pressure from Jack Welch, Justin Herroder, and Raul Roches Guardia in the GTPs.
Yeah, that's also a point. The tires. It's not like we have a 40-minute race. It's not like it's a little sprint race, and tires are not taking a role here. It's a great part of how you manage the tires here in these cars.
Absolutely. We're looking at Jack Wells right now in 4th position, trying to put pressure on Javier Del Olmo in 3rd. Laust Olsen's found his pace a little bit and is starting to run away from Del Olmo. As I say that, he loses a 0.5 second through the downhill portion. This is actually not compressed these guys, and this is why it's the GTO traffic once again.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Also, we can see Dustin now, how he is very much focused and concentrated in the middle of the traffic, going too wide there and trying to hold the slipstream to have a chance on the podium.
Dustin Herroder in 5th position. He needs to win this race with Valenteus being 4th or lower in order to win the championship. So unless Valenteus wrecks out, unfortunately for Dustin, there's not much of a chance for him to succeed. So his goal today is going to be to survive this race and hope that Valenteus falls afoul of some traffic or an incident that puts him in a position to win the championship.
Yeah, right. That's something I forgot about because the GTOs are so packed together, but we have multiple things that need to happen right now to have a change of the order in the GTPs.
And we're looking at the GTOs once again. Joram Van Hixie still in behind Sliumba. They've got Nigel Charman, who's going to be trying to get his way by. He should be able to sneak by Van Hixie before the chicane, and he's actually going to make it through on Sliumba. This should give an opportunity for Van Hixie if he gets a good run out of the corner, and he does. But the problem is now he has Carlos Fonseca up his inside. He's going to look to the middle, and it's very close. Fonseca, I don't think expected Van Hixie, and Fonseca actually goes wide. That actually seals the deal for Van Hixie. Sliumba falling afoul of Fonseca, who took it too deep into the corner, and that allows Van Hixie to sneak by.
And I was so sure that Mickey Friesen gets spun in the first hairpin, but there he is on the start-finish stretch, and still in trouble, but not as much as in the hairpin.
P2 and the GTPs heating up once again with Javier Del Olmo tucked in behind Laust Olsen. He's closed that gap back down. because of that traffic that we've seen. Jack Wells on the back of Dustin Hirota with Raul Rocha's Guardian and Seamus Power tucked in as well. Very, very interesting stuff here with Arturas Kundelis still tucked in behind our drivers up in front. He's just trying to hang on at this point, is Kundelis, onto Josh Brain because of that damage. He does not have the drive off the corners that he used to.
Yeah, and also I think he's losing much of top speed. The overtakes on the start-finish line maybe speak for that theory. So yeah, the damage totally sad, of course. You can see also like the front wheel is exposed to the air. Yeah, awful for Arturas, of course.
Side by side, Chris Etheridge trying to make a move there on Sammy Yavonen. And both of them battling it out for the 16th position. A good fight between these two drivers. Front left damage for Etheridge. So that's definitely going to be affecting his drive a little bit. It looks like it's just the fender pushed in, so not too much substantial structural damage for Etheridge, but definitely going to be affecting the aerodynamics of that corner.
Yeah, maybe with 22 minutes to go, we're nearly at halftime, but there will be more carnage, of course.
Yeah, that was an interesting move there from Thorben Pollock, deep up the inside of Trangarate, who misses the shift down to second, falls in behind Pollock now in that battle for the 9th position with Emilio Dakari up ahead. Here is Dustin Hirota making a move once again on Jack Wells, able to get to the inside of one. Can he hang on to it? Oh, it's a slide out of the corner. Jack Wells is going to try and put the power down and come up the inside, which switches to the outside. Here, look at them go through the center of the corner side by side. They're still side by side at the bottom of the hill. Now they run into traffic.
Oh my God. And now, yeah, to navigate there, and oh, Jack Wells is off and into the grass, but still running.
Whoa.
And that was feisty by Dustin.
Yeah, Jack Wells once again off, forcing Emilio Dakari wide, and that is Simon Wilkes, who's just pulled off to the side of the road and letting everyone go by. This top 5 in the GTP is very close together behind Laust Olsen. I will say Valenteus still off and clear by 11 seconds ahead of these drivers, but the rest of the top 5 absolutely duking it out today.
And if you're watching this, there's a new season of iRacing coming up. I would say sign up, get the, what is it?
It's the holiday sale,
the promotion,
sale, yeah.
and drive with us in the IMSA Vintage.
Absolutely. Raul Rocha's Guardian now trying to make the move on Jack Wells. Jack forced to give the room on the inside of the hairpin. Can't quite get the power down the way that he wants to. It's going to fall behind. He's still trying to hold it on the inside. He's going to take a late braking move. Let's see who comes out the better. It is Jack Wells.
And that's totally not disappointing here at Donington. What a race. And it's basically clean. There is some little context, one driving error forcing Kundelis to drop down the order, but in the end, that's magnificent stuff.
Absolutely a fantastic drive right now from the drivers. Look at that. Javier Del Olmo, he was pushed off track a little bit trying to go around the stricken Andreas Schuster, and he now falls in behind Dustin Hirota. So Hirota up to 3rd position now. And he's going to look to the inside of the chicane. We're riding on board with Del Olmo. Is going to follow him through. Everyone's through cleanly past our 4th position driver of Schuster. So Schuster just falling off the back of the field, unfortunately for him, and just trying to make a little bit of contact there. Javier Del Olmo, that was a very slow corner from Dustin Hirota. And I just saw Kelton Armstrong off on the right-hand side. You can see the car parked up there at the apex of the first hairpin. Very interesting racing so far today.
Yeah, indeed. And of course, the leader of the GTP is putting down his own masterclass, but as we have seen, the places behind him are very much packed together.
Brendan Lim trying to sneak his way through on Seamus Power. Can't quite do it this time around. All of these battles are catching up now to the lead of the GTOs and separating our 2 championship leaders, Joran van Hixie and Andreas Slumba. And here we see Jack Wells trying to sneak by. This is such tense stuff for all of these drivers. Oh my goodness. I just saw Mickey Friesen get a little bit of contact there from Raul Rocha's Guardian. That is it side by side, Friesen and Van Hixie for the lead of the championship.
Yeah, due to the traffic, the opportunity is there for Van Hixie to take P1 and take the championship.
Absolutely. So Van Hixie in second position, Friesen in first. Whoever finishes ahead of the other will win the championship. That's why you see these two battling side by side. Seamus Power trying to sneak through. Brendan Lim, Matthias Hovdal all up the inside of Van Hixie. Van Hixie's got to be fuming right now. He's just lost a half a second to Friesen because of these GTPs up his inside. It's going to happen to him again.
But you gain some, you lose some. That's the game of the traffic.
So here we go once again down the front straight. Here is Kundelis, still stricken, still trying to make his way around that major front end damage. You could see the car just not behaving the way that he would like, just struggling right now. Here is Jack Wells still tucked in behind Javi Del Olmo, who has not let Dustin Heroder go. Heroder can't run away through the traffic. Look how close it is.
And that's what we want to see here. And I love the onboard, of course, we have seen in the chicane, but yeah, it's pretty intense, of course. If you're following so close behind through the chicane and then the braking zone into the hairpin, and how late they brake.
Jack Wells looking up the inside there of Javier Del Olmo. Didn't work that time. He actually lost some ground, unfortunately, so falling back a little bit further. This battle's starting to separate, but it looks like Del Olmo much more comfortable on the brakes than Heroder with the setups that they have, and so much more comfortable off. Look at him looking to the inside of the second hairpin once again. He's going to try and set up for a good exit and take it up the inside of one. Let's see if he can do it this time. I think he's a little bit too far back.
Yeah, that would be a huge dive, and he's not going to send it at this stage of the race, maybe later on, but because it is for podium spots, so maybe he finds a better opportunity and not too risky.
Absolutely. There's a nice battle going on down there in ninth for the GTOs. Obi Trangrade and Thorben Pollock have been duking it out for most of this race, and they continue to do so as they're side by. And yeah, they go side by side once again into the second hairpin. Thorben Pollock trying to string it on the outside of Emilio Decari, who they're trying to get by. And as they go by, it looks like Thorben Pollock is going to take that position and is going to try and get back up there and battle with Trangrade again.
Totally great stuff. Yeah, basically the perfect place on track to watch it going down to the Hollywood corner with these three GTOs fighting.
Bad news for Dustin Heroder. He lost the positions to Del Olmo and Jack Wells due to some traffic that they ran into coming down the hill. So Heroder back to 5th position, now back to 6th position, losing a spot to Raul Roches Guardia as well. And here are our leaders in the GTOs and our leaders in the GTO Championship. Friesen making a defensive line as we look on board with Goran Van Hixie. Van Hixie trying to go around the outside, a little bit of contact between the two of them, and that's Sliumba trying to take advantage of these two battling and try and win a race himself.
Yeah, of course. He's not here to put a finger in his nose. He is here to maybe even win this race. And yeah, he doesn't care if he's fighting someone who is fighting for the championship.
No, absolutely. He's going to race his best race no matter what is going on. And he's going to try and take advantage. There we see Jack Wells trying to take advantage of a slow Javi Del Olmo off the corner. Look at them streak around the outside, clip in the grass there as they go around Chris Etheridge in 16th position. Raul Roches Guardia up to the back of these guys as well. His top 5 of the GTPs cannot separate even when we have different players enter the battle.
And again, they're sliding through the chicane, cutting the corners as much as they can. But we have seen how soon a slowdown will hit you if you go too far over the edges.
Fairly measured are they coming through the final of the two hairpins back on to the front straightaway. No opportunities for passes this time for these drivers into turn 1. They're going to have to follow each other down the hill.
Now it's good to maybe calm down again to get the tires in the position they want them for the last 14 minutes of this race to not...
Sorry, the lead of the GTOs. We had a deep dive from Matthew Cockrum, and they've actually made contact with each other coming out of the first hairpin. Friesen still leading this race, but it was an absolute torpedo from Cockrum that forced Friesen offline and gave an opportunity to Van Hixie. Van Hixie clinging to the back there. Cockrum's going to go up the inside once again, and hopefully will be clear by the time they get to the apex of 1. It looks like that will be the case.
Yeah, and now he's maybe pretty happy that that worked out this time, not making contact or spinning out here. And yeah, you have talked about the tires. Maybe it's a problem for Friesen, because now Jordan van Hicks looks much more on pace right now.
Absolutely. So the two of them still nose to tail, as they will be. They're catching up to the slow Kurt Howe Jensen, and Jensen, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. Simon Wilkes is the GTP behind them as well. And a little bit of a slide there from Sliumba, as you saw in the background. Look at the pressure that Van Hixie's putting on. Where is Kurt going to be on track? Is he going to race his race? Is he going to pull over? He's going to pull over and let the two of them by. It's going to be 3 wide for a moment, and this is going to be Simon Wilkes trying to get at the inside of the chicane. He's going to be able to do so. They're catching up to a slow Brandon White now in the GTOs as well, who's going to be on the inside. He's going to let everyone go before the first hairpin. Here comes the move. Van Hixie up the inside of Friesen.
Oh, does it work? Side by side, no contact.
Oh! So close between the two of them. Just a little bit of extra power for Van Hixie, and he gets the job done. Friesen trying to do the over-under, but Van Hixie parks it on the apex. Bumper to bumper they go, and a misshift from Friesen loses him the ground on Van Hixie. He'll have to try and recover and hope that he doesn't get passed by Sliumba in turn 1.
Yeah, it is not over, but it all looks very, very good for Van Hixie.
That was an amazing move from Van Hixie. Just applied just enough power to sneak that bumper ahead of Friesen. What a move to get the lead of this race. Friesen now has to recover and try and pass Van Hixie to win this championship.
Yeah, keep with him, now putting the pressure on him. Mickey Friesen did so good driving in these conditions with one eye in the mirror and one eye up the road ahead. So maybe this time it's on him for the last 10 minutes basically, to put the pressure now on him if he can follow back into the slipstream.
11.5 minutes left to go. You can see Van Hixie weaving, trying not to give Friesen any draft to climb his way up there. Javi Dalomo and Jack Wells side by side as they go up the other section of this course as well. So still battles going on throughout the track as we take a look. This is long shot from the helicopter as they come through that corner. That is our leader of the race, Valenteus. 18 seconds to the clear in front of the field, and has just now cleared the last of the GTOs. Oh, Javier Lomo has spun around, coming through the chicane.
Ooh, that's putting him down to what, P9?
Yeah, unfortunately for Del Olmo, this one was just on him, but we're going to take a look at a replay of the pass for the lead. This was Friesen getting a little bit slowed up by the GTP up ahead of him, and then he's trying to take consideration to the other GTO, and here's Van Hixie's move up the inside. It looks like Van Hixie's going to be able to, Friesen's going to be able to keep a nose ahead, but Van Hixie just applies just enough power and sneaks that bumper by, and is able to cling to the inside here, parks it on the apex, bumper-to-bumper contact between the two of them, and that forces Friesen into a misshift scenario, and now Friesen's still trying to recover. Here's Hiroder trying to put some pressure on Belarusia's Guardian.
Yeah, very smart driving there, of course, by both of the GTOs, and now it's up for Dustin Hiroder to gain this position, gain the place on the podium step. Absolutely,
and Guardia currently in third spot, Hiroder in fourth. Hiroder losing a little bit of ground there. There's Matthias Hovdahl. We haven't talked about him much today, but he's in a battle with Brendan Lim for sixth position. Hovdahl has gained 5 spots since the beginning of this race, so pretty hard charger today, but our hardest charger is Dylan Freckleton, up 11 spots from 21st to 10th.
Wow, and taking so many positions on this track in this competitive field, that's a hard charger.
Orion Gonzaga and Dylan Freckleton. Freckleton's going to take the dive on Jamie Hamill-Smith. Jamie Hamill-Smith going to be put offline. That's going to hold up Gonzaga as well. So Gonzaga's challenge on Freckleton evaporates that quickly. That's what can happen when the traffic comes into play. So here is our leader, Valenteus, 22 seconds ahead of Jack Wells in second spot. To say that Valenteus has been dominant this entire season would be an understatement. He has finished first in every race except for one, and he's raced in both classes.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Dustin Hiroder, of course, with 168 points before this race, it was just a gap by 7 points. So yeah, also very competitive. So there is no room for error for Valenteus to have maybe a moment here in this late stage with all he worked on over the course of this race at Donington with a 22-second gap.
Absolutely, he can afford to be patient, but he can't afford to make a mistake. If we take a look at our leader in the GTOs, Joran van Hixie, he's been trying to battle it out with Mickey Friesen over the course of this entire championship. And quite frankly, it's been impressive to watch both he and Friesen duke it out over the course of the season. It has been a series of wins for Van Hixie that has gotten him into this position, whereas Friesen's been mostly consistently third or second over the course of the season. So it's just two different strategies, two different ways to win a championship battling up against one another, but Van Hixie does have the pattern of winning more often than Friesen, and Van Hixie's currently the one in the lead.
But of course, we have seen it with Friesen. One bad moment in the traffic, and there's it again for both of them, of course. So it lost some time for both GTO drivers, Van Hixie and Friesen, and it's up for the last 7 minutes now to make something happen.
A little moment there for Dustin Heroder and Joran van Hixie, unfortunately, and look at that. This is a little bit of frustration. Oh my goodness. That was a close moment there with Seamus Power stuck in behind. Oh my goodness, and we got a pass going on behind them. Friesen's got to be very frustrated right now. He's put offline by the GTP of John Davey, and so he's going to lose more time to Van Hixie. It's such a powerless feeling when you have GTPs taking your apexes away, like we have Hovdal on the apex now for Friesen. Contact between the two of them. There's nothing you can do.
Nope, just a faster car. You can't do anything about it. We've seen like they grabbed onto apexes to show the faster classes to not make an overtake, but this wasn't the opportunity for that in the hairpin.
So once again, Friesen having to take a late apex here due to John Davey making his way through. Here's Laust Olsen in 8th place. Unfortunately for Laust, was battling up there for 2nd position, couldn't maintain that position over the course of this race and has fallen back to 8th, but still driving a fairly consistent race. Van Hixie's been disadvantaged, and here's Martin Krajcik now getting pressured by Ove Trangrade. Trangrade up the inside of turn 1, and Krajcik trying to hang on to the position, can't do so, falls back to 9th.
And again, GTP traffic, of course. They are battling their own race, but also have to watch their surroundings. Very, very tense stuff, and I can just say what great drivers we have here once again.
5.5 minutes to go in one of the more exciting championships we've had. 13 weeks. Won't see this again for another 2.5 years here in iRacing as Mickey Friesen chasing down Joran van Hixie. He's got the gap under half a second now as we're closing into the final laps of this race. It's looking for these drivers like it's going to be about 4 to 5 more laps. Andres Valenteus, as we mentioned, he is just now coming into the chicane, so he's about halfway around, 2/3 of the way around the track. So these drivers have got to, Friesen's got to get the move on and got to do it soon, otherwise he's going to run out of time.
That's the point, but he did get the gap down again to 0.4. He was at 0.8, so maybe there's some rubber left in his tires.
So Mickey Friesen trying to close that gap. Joran van Hixie trying to just maintain and not let the traffic get to him. They don't have that much traffic coming through. Just Dylan Freckleton and Jorge Gonzaga, but both of them are battling for position. They're separated by about a second. Here comes Dylan Freckleton. He's not going to get to the corner before Friesen can go through, so this should be fairly clear for Friesen and Van Hixie coming through the chicane. So if Van Hixie backs off just a little bit, he can let Freckleton go through, and he's going to. Friesen's going to do the same thing with Gonzaga.
This worked out quite nicely in the end, but maybe for Mickey Friesen, not so good as for Van Hixie.
But now Van Hixie has the apex taken away by the GTP. The GTOs are much faster off of the corner, as you saw right there, than the GTPs through those apexes due to the 4-wheel drive. and that can cause problems on exit. Here is Brandon White, who's going to be on the outside of the corner. That is the preferred line for Van Hixie. So Van Hixie's going to lose a couple mile an hour compared to Friesen on the exit there, and that allows Friesen to stay within half a second.
Yeah, but he backs off, slows down with his blue flag, and not disturbing the both leaders of the GTOs. That's quite nice.
Valenteius crosses the line for 2 to go for himself just now. So he'll be coming up to the back of this battle for the lead of the GTO Championship, the win of the GTO Championship shortly. You can see Friesen. He's absolutely on the ragged edge, dipping his tires into the dirt almost every corner exit. He's just trying to push that car as hard as he can. The question is, does he have the stuff underneath him to get up to the back of Van Hixie before this race is over?
And where does he want to do it? Because as we have seen, as they battled cleanly, even with inches away. And I assume that Jerome and Mickey will not want to make drama in the last lap.
No, they won't. We're taking a look at Brendan Lim in 6th position, tucked in behind Seamus Power and Dustin Heroder. But I think we're going to have to go back to the GTO lead because Van Hixie's been disenfranchised by Javier Del Olmo taking the apex, and these two nearly side by side. Friesen got a good run through the chicane, and look at this. Van Hixie taking a very shallow line into the corner. Friesen knows that Van Hixie's going to park it. He backs off a little bit. These two now nose to tail as we go on to the penultimate lap for them.
A very, very great read, Adam, of this situation. I assumed also that he will maybe park it, but so does Mickey. And yeah, one more chance.
One more chance. Well, I think it's probably going to be 2 more chances.
Maybe 2.
Valenteius is only 6 seconds behind and crossed the line. He'll have crossed the line for the second to last time. So very quick laps from Valenteius right now. He set the fastest lap just a couple of laps ago at a 1:14.279. Very, very fast for him. Matthew Cochran's going to be the next driver to come into play for our GTO leaders as they've separated just a little bit. But Valenteius, here he is, coming up to the back of that battle.
At 25 seconds ahead, amazing. And now we have both the leaders of both classes in this picture.
And actually, Van Hixie's going to get the short of this. Like, no, Valenteius backs off, and he's actually not going to stick his nose in there. That was a very veteran move. But here we go. We're coming to the white flag for both classes. Valenteius is going to take the white flag this time around to try and win his championship. And Van Hixie and Friesen, they're in a close battle, but Friesen just isn't close enough to try and challenge. He's going to have to close that gap and get to the bumper by the time we get to this portion of the race next lap. Final lap, white flag for IMSA Vintage. This season of IMSA Vintage, 13 rounds, the final season of 2024.
What an exciting race here. And it's not over. One more lap to go. But the gap widens again, of course.
Gap widens again. Van Hixie giving it everything now. He's trying to put it the fastest lap he's run all day, trying not to make any mistakes. They've got Matthew Cochran in 13th position behind. Cochran's going to try and find his way by. Friesen is going to be able to do so safely. The question is, what's going to happen with Van Hixie? He's going to take it in deep. Van Hixie's going to back off just a little bit to let him go through, so it's not going to disenfranchise them that much. There's Valenteius coming off of the turn before the chicane. Valenteius has been dominant all season long. The only time he has not won is when he DNF'd, and that was in both classes of this series. Valenteius has put in the most dominant performance of any driver I think that we have seen in this series, dominating both classes. But you can only win the champ. I mean, you possibly could win the championship in both, but it'd be rare. But he's going to win the championship in the fastest class, the GTPs, and win the race here today at Donington. Congrats to Valenteius.
Yeah, congrats. Great season, great showing here tonight. And Jerome van Hicks is in the final lap in a little bit of smoke coming off the wheel of Friesen. But he's happy, I think, with a great championship battle. Jerome van Hicks is your champion in the IMSA Vintage.
And you only need to lead the championship for one race, and he led it for 2, the last race and this one. What a finish for Van Hixie. A fantastic battle between the two of them. Jack Wells comes home in 2nd position, and Raul Roches Guardia is going to come home in 3rd in front of Dustin Heroder, Seamus Power, and Brendan Lim. What a race we had today. Tense battles between them. Look at the respect between Van Hicksey and Friesen. The two of them have been duking it out all season long. Van Hicksey is going to go and head to the winner's circle.
And that's what I really, really like to see. Great stuff.
That's going to take us to our results here, unofficial results, but there wasn't a lot of drama, so I expect these to be fairly official. Andreas Valenteus is going to take the win and the championship in the GTPs, with Jack Wells in second position, 22 seconds back. Raul Rochesgardia another 3 seconds back of him, and then 5 seconds behind that is Dustin Heroder in fourth position, Seamus Power in fifth, with Brendan Lim, Matthias Hovdahl, Laust Olsen, with Emerson Gaudin and Dylan Freckleton rounding out your top 10. Jorge Gonzaga is going to be 11th position, with Javier Del Olmo finishing in 12th, Matthew Cockram in 13th, Mateo Johnson 14th, and Ben Summers 15th. The top 20 rounded out by John Davey, Nigel Chairman, Carlos Fonseca, Simon Wilkes, and Noel Lundberg. We have two more drivers in the GTPs left, Kelton Armstrong and Ivan Platten. Platten, unfortunately, did not start.
And what a race it was. Also in the GTOs, Joram van Heks wins the race and wins the championship in the IMSA Vintage GTO class. Mickey Friesen in P2, Andreas Sliumba in P3. Andreas Schuster did manage to take P4 tonight, Josh Brain in P5. Timothy Reed did pick up P6, and the top 10 is rounded up by Arturas Kondelis in P7, all with its damage over. Trengerit is in P8, P9 for Martin Kretschirik, and Torben Paulik in P10. And of course, we have some more for you. In P11, Emilio Di Chari with 40 seconds behind the leader. P12, Pablo Rangel. P13, Lucas Arroyo. Jamie Hamill-Smith in P14. P15 goes to Johnny Hoffman. P16, Adam Barney. P17, Krista Johansson. Kurt Hauer Jensen in P18, Brandon White in P19, and P20 goes to Sami Huvonen. Chris Ettridge makes it to the third page of the GTOs, and Ben Lothar takes the 22nd place after not finishing.
Absolutely. And it's been a crazy, crazy season this season, and finishing the race here at Donington, not a lot of places to pass, but a lot of places to make mistakes. We didn't see that many mistakes made, but some decent complications with traffic, I think, informed how this championship finished up as far as the GTOs are concerned, right, Sebastian?
Yeah, there was so much going on in this race. I think we need a whole analysis team to get that job done. But the traffic, the battle for the championships, great stuff, of course.
And for Joram van Hicksey, it is his first championship win in the IMSA Vintage Series broadcasts. So a fantastic job to get a lot of wins this season, more wins than we have seen him get any other season, and finish his championship on top.
And as you said it was just 2 races he did lead, and it was close, but he made his moves and made it happen.
Looks like we've got Seamus Power who's going to talk to us today. Seamus finished in 5th position in the GTPs. Seamus, it was a tense race out there. Lots of cars on track, lots of traffic, but you finished up there in the 5th position, gaining 5 spots off of your starting position. How'd it feel out there today?
Wow, yeah, that was one hell of a finisher for the season, I think. Pretty chaotic. I think I've driven Camel here once before, and it was about as chaotic as I remember. I surprisingly had a decent amount of pace. Managed to get traffic in a lot of good places, some bad. But thankfully, I think I had a little bit of damage by the end, but it wasn't slowing me down too much. So, it was basically just taking advantage of other cars' unfortunate mistakes, traffic, and pretty pleased with managing a P5 on the day.
Yeah, P5 on the day. Pretty good points finishing position as well for you today. Finishing in, I believe it's still going to be 4th position, but Seamus, How was it over the course of the season? 13 weeks only happens every 2.5 years here in iRacing. How was the season for you as a whole?
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. Obviously, Valente has kind of been riding win after win throughout the season in Nissan. So it was frankly like fascinating to watch him just kind of go to work whenever he decided to show up in a Nissan. He's been also sharing his setups, which has also been really, really interesting. So it's been kind of like a master class almost of how to try and drive the Nissan. Whether or not you can actually execute at that level is another thing. But yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. 13 weeks is pretty unusual. Kind of felt like it flew by and not really much different from a 12-week season. But yeah, I think more than anything, I'm looking forward to next season. A lot of the tracks, especially Mosport and Willow Springs, are going to be up next season, and I'm very, very excited for that because it should be a lot of fun.
Track rotation continues here at IMSA Vintage. Race just about everything, but thanks for talking to us, Seamus. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks. One to the winners of both classes. Been fantastic drives for both of them. It's been really pleasure to watch them back on the broadcast. Thanks again to everyone here at GSRC. Fantastic broadcast as always, and it's always a treat to watch. And then finally, to the community, another season in the bag. Hopefully we manage to keep on getting new drivers, and we'll see where it goes from here. Thanks a lot, guys.
Absolutely. That was Seamus Power, who finished in 5th position today. And next up, we're going to talk to Mickey Friesen, who finished in 2nd position in the race and the championship.
Mickey, how are you? How are you feeling after this tight battle, and in the end it just wasn't enough?
Yeah, it was a good race out there. I had issues with Nissans, but Joram had to deal with that as well. He got a pretty bad start, so I was hoping I could just get to the front and run away, but he had more pace than me this week, so there's nothing I could do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have seen that it was a back and forth with the GTP traffic. Sometimes apexes were stolen. Sometimes I think you were not happy where in the chicanes the nose got stuck in.
Yeah, there were a couple times where some Nissans waited for Joram that I thought I was thinking like 2 laps ago, one of them just went in the same spot on me. Why couldn't they hold him up?
Yeah,
but they gave him his fair share of problems too.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a give and take. How was the overtake by Joram in the first hairpin? It looked like maybe there would be contact, but it was so fair between the two of you, where he did make the move to the inside.
Yeah, I saw. I didn't think he was going to make a move, and then when he pulled out to make the move, I thought I could probably hold it on the outside since he was pretty far back. But I just didn't get any grip out there, and I pushed a little wide, and he got through. I almost kept it alongside on exit, but just ran out of grip out there.
Yeah, okay, understood. Was there any moment where you thought, okay, this is now the chance to get my nose in on the inside?
There might have been a couple times I got somewhat close, but no real good opportunities. Except I think there was once with the Nissan that I got my nose in, but it wasn't. I didn't have a good enough run to make anything happen. He was better on corner exit, so I couldn't pull up right to his bumper in order to make a move into corner entry on the next corners. So it was just kind of waiting and hoping either he made a mistake or Nissan opened a gap for me.
Yeah, still in the end, you waved on the start-finish line, and both of your cars went side by side on the outlap. So it looked like gentleman racing in the end, of course, and you both celebrated a great season of 13 weeks of racing.
Yeah. I've had great racing with Yorm all season. A lot of racing that you guys haven't even seen on like Wednesday races. We'd spend laps side by side, and then on Saturday we end up playing a little smarter and not slowing each other down, so that way we keep everyone else out of it.
Yeah,
but
very
but
smart.
we've spent so many laps side by side this season, and it's been it's all been respectful between the two of us. And so hats off to him for the championship.
Yeah, now as vice champion, so to speak, in this season, is there anything you would say to newcomers to iRacing? Is the IMSA Vintage something they should keep an eye on to maybe race themselves next season on the roster?
Yeah, absolutely. When I started iRacing, it was 2 years ago. Next season. So next season will be 2 years, and I did the normal Mazda and then GT4 and some GT3, and I was very bad. And after a season and a half or so, I stumbled upon what used to be called Camel, which is IMSA Vintage, and the Audi looked awesome, so I bought it and did a bunch of practice with it, and I was absolutely terrible. It was a rolling roadblock. I joined a couple races, and I hope those replays are long gone, because I'm sure it was a menace to all the other drivers out there. But I was like 1200 iRating, not very good compared to where I am now. But driving such a raw car really forced me to improve, and I think I'm overall a much better driver for it, just because I've driven this car. Whereas if I stuck with the modern stuff, I'm sure I would have improved, but I don't think I would have improved nearly as much. So I highly recommend to anyone getting into iRacing.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you for the input, and hopefully everyone out there watching this race now feels like, okay, I'm getting my rig and getting into the IMSA Vintage. Yeah, thank you for that. And do you want to thank anyone out there?
You guys obviously do such a great job with the broadcast week in, week out. Always look forward to watching it back. And the community in general. Yoram, obviously, congratulations for the championship, as well as everyone else, Noel and Arturus, Andreas, everyone that I race with side by side every single week. Nothing but great racing. Makes it really enjoyable, and I'm always looking forward to Fridays and Saturdays to get to race this.
Yeah, thank you, Mickey Friesen. Congrats.
Thank you.
That was Mickey Friesen, who finished in second position in the championship and the race today. And as he so well brought up, if you haven't joined iRacing, now is the perfect time. There's currently a holiday sale going on, 50% off all new memberships. That goes until January 3rd. Now is the perfect time to jump in and try for the first time if you haven't. But that's going to do it for us today and this season for IMSA Vintage. I want to give a big thanks to the team that joined us this season: Sebastian, Craig, Ozzy, Joe, Jake, Daniel, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media website and merchandise store, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment of this awesome action here on GSRC. Next race for IMSA Vintage is going to be Mugello in 2 weeks' time. This December 21st at 12 p.m. Eastern, beginning 2025 Season 1. You won't want to miss that one, but also be sure to check out the other broadcasts that are listed here on your screen. But we hope you've enjoyed joining us this season as much as we've enjoyed bringing this racing to you, and we hope to see you back again next year. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.